بطل زيت الله ولعت بحيفا شرب ولعت بحيفا عم تشوف مش معنا طلع هون طلع هون الزيت توسخ بحيفا طلع 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 تعال نزل 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 تعال نزل طلع هذاك الصابون هذاك الصابون نزل نزل
פאק. הכל פה בוער. שתי פגיעות מטורף, אני לא יודע אפילו מה.
Wake up 3 a.m. and I'm thinking about medicine. She tell me she got a new nigga.
Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Chakodash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS to give us his truth and all his purity. And salutations to all you I can butcher this word. This lesson is going into the third woe, which is World War III, which is prophesied in the Holy Bible. You know, all these things that are happening between Iran, Israel, America is going to lead into the destruction of America, which in the scriptures is known as Babylon the Great, as well as the destruction of other countries around the world. But the difference is Babylon the Great, America, will be totally annihilated, while other countries, they will be hit too, but they won't be totally decimated, pursuing the prophecy. So this is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. It says, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. So one woe is past, meaning World War I. You know, woe is going into destruction. So it says one woe is past, which is World War I, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. So after World War I, there was two more wars that are due to take place, which is World War II and World War III. And you have this devil called Albert Pike. Back in, I believe, the late 1800s, he pretty much gave the blueprint for the 3 world wars. And it went exactly according to what he, well, I was going to say predicted, but it's really planned. You know, it's all a planned agenda by the powers that be. But guess what? The powers that be are controlled by the Heavenly Father. You know, everything that's taking place is going according to prophecy, man. So it says, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. And now let's go to Revelation 11 and 14. It says, no, yep, 14. I was on 4. This is Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So World War II is past, and behold, the third woe, World War III, is coming quickly. And this is why things are escalating in such a fast pace. You know, there's this quote that says there are weeks where years happen, or something to that effect, which means that so much happened in a short space of time that, you know, it felt like it should have took years to take place, you know, where there's so much escalation within a short time frame that you would think that it was years worth of buildup, you know, years worth of, pretty much years in the making, you know, just like what we see happening with Iran and Israel. You know, it has been years in the making, but the exchanges that's been happening over the past week, because as of today, it's only been a week, you would think that they've been at war with each other, throwing blows for years, man. You know? So the third woe is coming quickly. And how is the third woe going to take place? Let's go to the book Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. So typical wars in ancient times and even today, conventional warfare where you have troops on the ground is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. Men screaming, back in the ancient times, horses galloping, men getting dismembered, gut split, getting stabbed up, poked up, blood spilled all over the place, swords clinging, shields clinging against swords, that's confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So this war would not be fought in a conventional way. At first it will be. You will have the troops on the ground, boots on ground over there in the Middle East region. But what's going to end the war is not going to be, a country winning the conventional warfare. Nuclear missiles will be used. All right. These nations are about to crash out. So this war is going to be with burning and fuel of fire. No, this is Malachi 4, Slakia. This is Malachi chapter 4, verse 1. It says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. Now we know this is, there is no day that ever felt like you were burning in an oven. Because we know ovens can go up. Certain ovens can go up to thousands of degrees. 2,000 degrees, 1,000 degree. And, the regular oven in your kitchen, it could go up, like a couple hundred degrees, 500-600 degrees, right? There's never been a day where it was 500 degrees outside, At most, you might see 100 degrees, 100 and some change, but, not 500, right? But this right here is not speaking about no oven heat, no oven fire, where it's just a few hundred degrees. This is going into the earth filling the nuclear fire, which will be in the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of degrees, man. Because these missiles burn very hot. Each missile is like a sun, the power of a star, And the Lord said it's going to be 200,000, which means 200 million warheads hitting Babylon, America, off the face of the earth. So there's going to be intense heat, man. The scriptures say the Most High is a consuming fire, man. So it says, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And we know the proud, according to the scriptures, is Esau, Edom. The book of Obadiah says the pride of his heart have deceived them, right? So the Lord said, all the proud and all that do wickedly. This is a prideful world because the so-called white man is in power. The scriptures say how as the ruler is, so is the people. So the so-called white man rules the earth, and he's a prideful man. And that spirit, trickles down to, the people that he rules over. So now you have the world in the most prideful state. Just like how back in the time of the flood, they was in the most prideful state. And they got flooded. So this time around is worse than a flood. So a flood of fire is about to come, which is going to be nuclear holocaust. It says, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord Yahweh Shemashah of hosts, that it shall leave them not a root nor branch. So this destruction that's coming is not going to leave any foundations for America. Ain't going to be no trees, no fields, no bunkers. Nothing will be left on the soils of America after these missiles hit, man. The fire is going to dig deep into the ground. America is going to look like a big crater on the face of the earth after it gets decimated. All right. So the fire that's coming is World War III. And the scriptures tell us how World War III is going to take place. This is the book of Joel, chapter 3. And I'm going to jump around because this is a long chapter. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Judah and Jerusalem represents the two kingdoms of Israel. The southern kingdom, which is the kingdom of Judah, which consists of the so-called black tribes, the so-called Negroes from West Africa, West Indians, Haitians, and African Americans. That is the kingdom of Judah. And Jerusalem represents the northern kingdom of Israel, which consists of so-called Hispanics and Native Americans. So the Lord is going to bring back our captivity, meaning what? He's about to deliver us, and we're going to be captives unto him in righteousness. Verse 2, it says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat. Let's go to it real quick. Jehoshaphat is Yahweh Shaphat in the Hebrew, which means, it says Jehovah as judge, which means really Yahweh has judged. All right. So that's what it means, the Most High's judgment. So the valley of the Most High's judgment is over there in the Middle East region. It says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. The word plead means to judge. So this is why it's known as the Valley of Judgment, because this is where the Most High is going to judge the nations for what they did to his chosen people. The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the slavery, the genocide, the constant oppression and downtrodden of those people will be repaid. You know, it will be repaid for, man. It says, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And that's what happened. They scattered us among the nations by the way of slavery, the transatlantic slave trade. That's how we were scattered. And it wasn't just the white man partaking of it. It was all nations, East Indians, Arabs, Chinese, so on and so forth. And it says, and parted my land. The land of the Most High is the land of Israel. That land right now has been divided between the J-ish people, which are so-called white people, Edomites, that is their true biblical nationality. More specifically, the tribe of Amalek of the nation of Edom. So these J-ish people, they're nothing but white people, so-called white people, claiming to be us. You have these Edomites, these other Edomites, trying to disassociate themselves with those people, talking about J-ish people this, J-ish people that, acting like they're a whole different race when they're one and the same. It's just that one has a religion and the other, you know, might have a different religion or don't believe in the Most High at all. Because we know the so-called white man is an atheist. Matter of fact, the J-ish man is atheist. They don't even believe in the book that they claim to come from, man. You know? So the Lord said he parted his land by the way of Balfour Declaration back in 1947, where the British, the Rothschilds, basically told the British that they could bring America in the war if they give them the land of Israel. And that's what happened. So now you got these imposters dwelling in the land today, committing all these heinous acts, you know, putting a bad name on the Israelites. People thinking that these are the actual chosen people, man. You know? So, I'm going to jump down. Now, this is all going into the transatlantic slave trade, how our people were sold for harlot, for wine, which is going into how in slavery, the Africans, which are Hamites, a whole different race from us, right? We're not Africans. So-called black man is not an African, you know? And the Africans, they knew that, which is why they knew who to get from West Africa. The the Europeans, you know, the Portuguese, the Spaniards, the English, when they went to West Africa, they paid certain tribes to specifically go and enslave certain groups. So when they came to Africa, they knew the groups to enslave. They knew they were enslaving the Jews, you know, because they were getting ready to build their empire, their Edomite empire. And in order for you to have a great empire as a nation, you have to enslave the Most High's chosen people. This is how each empire became great. You want to talk about the Egyptians. You want to talk about the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, and now America. All nations enslaved us, and we made their kingdoms great. You know? So this is what this is all going into. But I'm going to jump down to verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. War is being prepared. These nations are gearing up for World War III. Russia, China, Iran, you know, and a coalition of other BRICS nations, you know, is going to come together. They're doing military drills with each other. So they're preparing for war. America has sent majority of their assets over there to the Middle East region. Aircraft carriers, KC tankers, which are those refueling airplanes for fighter jets. They sent 30 of them at once over there to that region, man, because they're getting ready to strike Iran. And this is all biblical prophecy, man. GMS said it first, right? The apostles of GMS, Apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar, Apostle Aramlab, Apostle Racha, right? For decades, they've been teaching that World War III would start with Israel attacking Iran. And here we are, right? That's how you know who the men of the Lord is, man. You didn't see any other camps proclaiming this besides GMS. You had people that used to mock on 34th Street, you know, when we had those signs about America's destruction, about World War III, the USSR, which is Russia today, coming back and, you know, sending missiles at America. People used to mock and laugh, man. But ain't nobody laughing no more, right? Ain't nobody laughing no more. Ain't no scoffers anymore, man. Because people are seeing that everything we were saying is coming to fruition, man. It says, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. The mighty men, the Russians, the Iranians, right? Those are considered mighty men. America, they're mighty men. The Lord said, let them all the mighty men of war draw near. Draw near where? To the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yehoshaphat. You know, the scriptures say that the least of the flock is going to draw them out. Matter of fact, real quick, this is Jeremiah chapter 49. Let's see. Okay, matter of fact, I'm going to start at oh man, this is such a beautiful chapter. Okay, I'm gonna start at 14. Now this is going into the judgment of the Edomites, right? The so-called white race. This is Jeremiah 49, and I'm gonna start at 14. It says, I have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come against her and rise up to the battle. Come against Edom and rise up to the battle. This is why the nations are gearing for war against America and NATO, right? They're preparing for battle. The heathens are ready. Iran is ready. And once America get involved, guess what? Them Arab nations gonna get involved. The whole world will get involved, man. This is what we're dealing with. This is why there's been such a backlash on Donald Trump, America potentially having to join the war, because it will result in World War III. Even the average person can see that, man. You know, I'll be on social media, TikTok, seeing what people got to say, and people are afraid, man. Oh, this is gonna be my first world war. I'm so nervous. Seen a video of this Jake in the military. He said, I just signed a 10-year contract with the military. Am I cooked? These people, man, they're worried because they see what's coming down the pipe, man. But guess what? Nothing is going to be able to stop them, man, because it's prophecy. So it says, verse 15, for lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. That's right. The so-called white race, they're very small in comparison to the other nations. The so-called white man only makes up about 6 to 7% of the world population, man. So they're very small. And this is why they act the way they act, because they're outnumbered, right? So they have to make up for it by the way of their sword, which was their blessing. The blessing that was given unto Esau, Edom, that nation was the blessing of the sword. That's why the so-called white man has mastered war. They've mastered weaponry, missiles, bombs, aircraft carriers, you name it, they got that because they are the Edomites, right? So that's how they've been able to so-called defend themselves, which is not true because nobody was ever thinking of attacking them, but they've been on the offense, for centuries, man, attacking other nations and claiming to be the victims. But guess what? Now the nations got their hands on that technology and now they're gearing for war against you, man, right? So it says, and despised among men. Everybody hates the so-called white man, started with the J-ish men. The whole world disagrees with what they're doing. You look at the comments on these news clippings, these social media posts about Israel, everybody's against them. Everybody hates these people, man. It says, verse 16, thy terribleness have deceived thee and the pride of thine heart. That's right. The so-called white man, his terribleness have deceived them, man. For decades, for centuries, he's been able to invade other countries, dropping bombs on them if they don't agree with, with his agenda, man. Right? Dropping bombs on the Palestinians, dropping bombs on Lebanon, dropping bombs on Syria, dropping bombs on Iraq, dropping bombs on Afghanistan, Libya, and now Iran, right? But guess what? Iran is a snare, a trap that the Lord has laid for you because you've been successful in your plans and taking down those other nations. But Iran is not Iraq. Iran is not Afghanistan. Iran is much more powerful than those countries, man. America and Israel, they're used to fighting countries in groups that can't fight back. So they've always had the advantage. They've always had superiority with their air force and these type of missiles and their army, their equipment. But guess what? Iran has all of that. And they have the backing of Russia and China. So now Donald Trump is talking about getting involved. And Russia just told him, yo, if you join, Russia will join as well as China, So your terribleness have deceived you. You thinking you're going to do the same with Iran. It says, in the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. It says, dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, which is Esau, Edom. When you read Obadiah, it tells you that that's what Esau, Edom would do. Their original homeland is Mount Seir, which is also called Petra. And if you look it up, it's a concrete mountain that these Edomites dug in. And when you look at the infrastructure, it's the same infrastructure for Rome, for Greece, for America, for Europe. It's the same infrastructure as far as buildings go. You see those courts, those government buildings, the White House, that is the infrastructure of Mount Seir, Petra, Rome, Greece. It's always the same because it's the same spirits, the same people coming back. The scriptures say that there is nothing new under the sun. So it says that holdest the height of the hill because you're exalted. You're above everybody else. right? It says, though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. That's right. So you was able to be on top of the world. America has been on top, dominating the markets, the economies, you name it, military, right? The Lord said, once you reach your peak, I will bring thee down, saith the Lord. So there is no golden age of America, as Trump was saying during his campaign. We're going to bring back the new golden age of America. No, that's over with, man. Verse 17, also Edom shall be a desolation, and everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. That's right. So Edom represents all the so-called white man's kingdoms, right? But mainly here in America. America will be a desolation, and everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. That's right. So when people in the kingdom of heaven in the years to come, after America gets destroyed and the smoke clears, they're going to pass by the land and see this big crater and just shake their heads like, wow, this was America, the greatest empire known to man. Look at it now, right? Verse 18, as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, no man shall abide there, neither shall the Son of Man dwell in it. Yeah, so what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? They got destroyed by fire. And why did they get destroyed by fire? Because of their lewd acts, homosexuality, lesbianism, pedophilia, witchcraft. That was all happening back then. And this is happening in America on a major scale. Pride Month. Hey, it's June. It's June, right? This is Pride Month. Where they're celebrating their lewd behavior that they partake in. Having these parades, naked parades. You got kids around doing all this freaky shit, man. Right? So this is why America will be destroyed. This is why the Most High setting y'all up for World War III. It says, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan against the habitation of the strong. But I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that shall stand before me? Yeah, because the Most High is setting this place up for destruction, man. Yahweh Shah is coming to take America down, man. Right? And the Most High is the one that's in total control of everything that's going on. Verse 20, this is the point. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he have taken against Edom, and its purposes that he have purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So the least of the flock of Edom. Edom, once again, is the so-called white race, and the least of their flock is Amalek, the so-called J-ish man in the land of Israel. That is the least of the flock, right? The Lord said the least of the flock shall draw them out. Draw out who? The armies. Babylon the Great, America's armies. This is why Trump and Netanyahu, they're in bed with one another. And Trump is thinking about taking out the supreme leader and joining the war. And he will. They said by this weekend, America may be at war with Iran. Right? So Amalek, the least of the flock, is drawing out the armies. Because once America get involved, guess what? The rest of the world will be involved in this war. So this is the counsel of the Lord against you so-called white people, man. This is the Most High setting you up for your own downfall. It says, verse 21, the earth is moved at the noise of their fall. At the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Yeah, because the whole earth, the scriptures say the earth is going to reel to and fro like a drunkard, because of the missiles. It's going to shake the heavens and the earth. The blast, the shock wave is going to ricochet around the earth, man. And the scriptures say how the nations in the book of Revelation, I believe the 18th chapter, it says how Babylon the Great, that her smoke is going to go up to heaven. And all nations are basically going to see her destruction. So Israel and America's destruction is intertwined, you know. But the difference is Israel will be rebuilt by the Israelites while America becomes a wasteland. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse this is Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. It says, "And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood." This is going into the nuclear destruction, you know, a great earthquake that's going to shake the whole earth. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair because the smoke is going to cover the skies. And the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Now, I'm going to put a video in the post-production showing those missiles coming down in Israel, and they look like stars falling from the sky, right? Those missiles, those ICBMs, those warheads, they look like stars falling onto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind, which is the trajectory of those missiles. You know, they come in and they go up in orbit in space, you know, in low orbit, and then they come down, you know, in an arch-like fashion. It says, "And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together," which is going into the mushroom cloud, a scroll that is rolled together. "And every mountain and island were moved out of their places," because the Lord is going to shake the whole earth with these missiles, man. "And the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?" That's right. So this is all going into World War III. These nations hiding in their bunkers, the elites amongst them, you know, going into their bunkers, trying to hide from our Lord Yahushua. You know, when those missiles get shot, pretty much Yahushua is going to make his grand entrance, man, you know, to save his elect, the 144,000 from the four corners of the earth by the way of the UFOs, the ships. All right. So these nations, they're going to be hiding because Yahushua's presence, Yahushua's face is more fearsome than nuclear annihilation, man. Can you imagine that type of power, you know, to where you look more scary than the missiles? Hey, man, the world is about to find out who the maker is, man. What the Most High look like, what his son looks like, man. They're about to find out the terror of the Heavenly Father, man. The scriptures say the Most High is terrible in his doings towards the children of men. You know, one of his titles is Al-Shadir, terrible demon like God, man. You people about to find out. This is back in Joel chapter 3, verse 9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong." And that's what's happening. The nations have heavily invested into their nuclear programs, their missile programs, and the ones that haven't are going to get their hands on that technology from Russia, mainly Russia, but also, you know, China, right? But the main ones to supply them will be Russia, because pursuant Ezekiel the 38th chapter, Russia will be a guard unto Iran, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, you know, and it says how Gomer and the house of Togarmah will be involved, which Gomer is speaking about Turkey, and Turkey has condemned Israel for years, and they already said that Iranians are their brothers, and pretty much they will be involved in protecting them, you know. And Turkey's a part of NATO. But guess what? They're Muslims. So the Lord is going to use them along with Russia, you know, to help Iran. So Turkey will be involved as well, right? It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. You know, so the nations, they're feeling strong. They're feeling America's weakness, man. They're not willing to get bullied anymore, right? They're ready to go at it. You know, America has been bullying the world for ages, but now the world is waking up. Everybody's tired of them, man. So it says, assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. There to cause thy mighty ones to come down, the Lord. And that's going to be in the valley of Jehoshaphat, the Middle East. That's going to be there that the Lord is going to have his mighty ones come down, which is the angels, the so-called UFOs, right? Our brothers sent this video to the chat of UFO taking down 2 missiles. You know, 2 missiles that was shot over towards Israel. They show you the UFO comes in and disarmed the missiles, man, and kept it pushing. You know, so it says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shabbat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So that's there that the Most High is going to bring judgment on those nations and their armies. It says, put ye in a sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. So this is why all the armies are gathered over there in their region, you know, because the Most High is getting ready to bring judgment. This is Isaiah chapter 34, verse 1. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations. The indignation is his righteous anger, his righteous judgment, right? That's how the Lord is going to plead with your nations, by the way of fire. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He have utterly destroyed them. He have delivered them to the slaughter. That's right. So these nations, their armies are going to be slaughtered, man. We talking dozens and dozens and dozens of millions, you know, millions of Iranians, millions of Russians, millions of Turkish, you know, Turks, millions of Moabites, which are the Chinese, millions and millions and millions and millions of Arabs, because they're over there in that region already, right? So the Lord is going to deliver y'all to the slaughter. Verse 3, their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. So this is matching what we read in Revelation 6. The heavens departed as a scroll. This is going into the mushroom cloud, right? It says the host of heaven shall be dissolved, which is going into what? The elements, you know? Pursuing the 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, it says that the elements is going to melt with fervent heat. The earth and the works that are therein shall be burnt up, right? So this is what this is going into. The fire is going to melt the very oxygen you breathe. And all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a fallen fig from the fig tree. This is going into the missiles, as we read in Revelation 6. The stars shall fall from heaven, you know, as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, you know. This is what this is going into. It says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my cursed judgment. The sword of the Lord is going into the missiles, the ICBMs. It's going to go up in low orbit and space. And when it goes up, it comes back down because it has different stages. It has the booster that propels it all the way to space. Then it detaches. It has the main head that has the warheads, you know, and goes over its location and pops it open and drops those warheads, you know. So that's the sword of the Lord, man. It's going to come down upon Idumea. Idumea is Edom. So the purpose of World War III is for the Most High to destroy you white people, man. It says, and upon the people of my cursed judgment. That's right. You are the people of the curse of the Most High, man. This is why you have that skin. You know, you have that disease called leprosy, man, which is lack of pigmentation. So the Most High curse you devils, man. wanted to get Matthew 24 as well. This is Matthew chapter 24. Matter of fact, I'm going to read this real quick. Matthew 24:6, it says, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. That's right. So for years, we've been hearing of wars and rumors of wars. You know, brothers, however long they've been in, you've been hearing about wars and rumors of wars, you know, over there in that region. But now we actually in the midst of actual war, World War III. This is not a rumor anymore, man. It says, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. That's right. We're not troubled, man, because all of this is going down. We're rejoicing, man. You know, people in the world, you see how they're panicking because they understand what this means. They don't have the full idea, but they know this is World War III and the collapse of societies globally, man. You know, so they're panicking. We're not troubled, you know. Hey, man, us brothers here, man, you know, me and brothers, man, we just been rejoicing. We chilling. We're not worried at all, man. We talking about the threat of nuclear holocaust. We laugh at that, man. You know, the average individual, if, you know, they had a conversation with us and knew our mindset, you know, about how we want this place to be destroyed, how we want World War III, they'll look at us like we're crazy, man. Oh, nah. You niggas is sick. You know? You niggas are demented. But you hear, how would you, people asked us that before, but you hear in America, why would you want America to be destroyed? What about you? What's going to happen to you? Well, guess what? We got hope. That's the difference between us. We hope in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. So as all this is going down, we expect deliverance from our power, man. All right? We know... we know the end game. We know the ending of all things, man. So this is why we're not worried. We know what comes next. People think World War III is the end of the world, like the whole world will be destroyed and then that's it. No, man. After the smoke clears, it will be the kingdom of Israel, man. You know? A righteous world. All right? It says, but the end is not yet, because the end is not going to come until the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, is made manifest. And we're in the midst of that, because all of what's happening between Iran and Israel is going to collapse the global economy. Iran already said they will shut off the Strait of Hormuz and attack American bases all throughout the Middle East. What that's going to do is collapse the economy, because 30% of the world's oil goes to that region, the Strait of Hormuz. So Iran shutting it down mean gas prices are about to skyrocket all over the earth. And when gas goes up, the price of everything else goes up, right? So that means global economic collapse, which will bring what? Famines, joblessness, crimes all over the earth. Verse 7, it says, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And that's what we see. You know, nations are taking sides. You know, some are siding with Iran, some are siding with America and NATO. You see? And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And we're in the midst of that. Famines, you know. This war will bring about global famine and pestilences. They're going to release more diseases, bird flu, you know, all types of pandemics are coming down the pipe. The World Health Organization is going to be at the charge of that. And earthquakes in diverse places. And we've been seeing that. A lot of earthquakes all over the earth of magnitude unprecedented. And they're going to keep happening. You know? Don't be surprised if we get to a point where, let's say, for example, you know, I'm in New York. Let's say every week you get an earthquake. Don't be surprised to see that, man. Every week, every 2 weeks, or even every day. You know? Because guess what? All these bombs dropping over there in the Middle East and other parts of the earth, all of that has an effect on the world, you know, the tectonic plates. So all that energy is all building up in the plates, and guess what? The earth has to release it somewhere else, you know? It's kind of like a echo, you know? the frequency, you know, the energy is gonna bounce off somewhere else, right? So we're gonna see earthquakes all over the earth. It says all these are the beginning of sorrows. Yeah, so this is only the beginning, man. You know, you ain't see nothing yet, right? You know, famines, pestilences, earthquakes, like it says in diverse places, crimes. Hey, man, we about to see a whole lot of hell, man. Demonic apparitions, all types of stuff. But I'm going to jump down real quick to verse, let's see. Yep, verse 29, it says, Matthew 24 and 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, which is going into World War III, and the stars shall fall from heaven, the missiles, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Yeah, because once they hit, the whole earth, the heavens and the earth is going to shake. The Lord said he rises to shake not the earth only, but the heavens also. Verse 30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. So that's what comes after, man. You know, while all of this is going on and these nations are warring with one another, Yahushua is going to make his entrance, man. The scriptures say in the book of Ezra that Yahushua is going to come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. Because nobody's expecting him, man. Nobody is expecting the Most High's Son, Yahushua, to return. They've been saying, that's what people tell us. Or they've been saying, you know, he's going to come. They've been saying that since my grandparents' time. They've been saying that for thousands of years, that Jesus is going to come back. Right? But he will actually come back in the midst of all of that, man. That's what's going to shake people up. Right? It says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. So the whole earth is going to mourn when he returns, man. Why? Because he's not coming for peace. He's coming for war. He's coming with millions and millions, billions, you know, if not trillions of UFOs, man. You're going to look up and every inch of the sky is going to be littered, covered in UFOs, man. The chariots of the Lord. It says, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So they're going to see the Son of Man, Yahushua, whom the world called Jesus Christ, coming in the clouds of heaven. The clouds of heaven are the UFOs. With power and great glory. With power and great glory, man. Power that's never seen before, man. You know? We've seen little bits and pieces of it. You know, different videos of UFOs doing wondrous things. You know? But that's just a small inkling of the Lord's power. When they return, they're coming in their full magnitude. Their full force. You know? Making wars against the armies of the earth and their space forces, man. Power and great glory. The scriptures say every eye is going to see Yahushua because he's going to look bigger than the sun in the sky. He's going to be bigger than the earth, man. That's how every eye will see him, right? It says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. That's right. So the sound of a trumpet, man. It's going to be a literal sound of a trumpet coming from his chariot, you know, the angel's chariot, you know, and they shall gather together his elect, the 144,000 from the four winds. So those UFOs, those ships are going to disperse and go all over the earth to save the elect from the destruction, man, from one end of heaven to the other. So we talking mainly here in America. That's where the main deliverance is going to take place. But other parts of the earth, like Europe, you know, England, you know, Germany, you got brothers over there too. So guess what? Those places are going to get hit with missiles too, right? So the Lord is going to send his angels to deliver those brothers, right? So the elect will be gathered globally, man, from one end of heaven to the other. And then from there, after the deliverance, the smoke clears. The scriptures say the saints of the Most High are going to take the kingdom. So we're going to come back down, Lord's will, with those men. And we're going to, you know, gather up the people that survived the nuclear holocaust. starting with the elites that is going to be in their bunkers hiding, you know, all the elite leaders all around the world, you know, and down to the common person that survived, that's in the wilderness somewhere, you know, in the caves, right? We're going to gather them too. And then they're going to clean up the mess that they made. Clean up over there, starting in the Middle East, you know. Clean up the dead bodies, clean up the rubbles to make way for the children of Israel for us to build our kingdom. And our kingdom will be forever, man. After that, none of you nations will ever have power anymore, man. You're going to beat your swords into plowshares, right? So, you know, you're going to go from a superpower, having all this weaponry, to just being slaves, man. All right? So I hope this lesson was edifying. I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yashah, Ba'ashem Chakodash. Double honor to the apostles of GMS that give us his truth. And salutations to all you arguing pushing this word.